Hare Krishna, somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Prabhuji, may I?
Go ahead, Priya.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri-Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Papitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayan Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri-Guru Shri-Yuta-padakamayam Shri-Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri-Rupam Sakrajatam Sahana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinottam Jagatpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanu Sutadevi Vanamani Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sandhubhyascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming to read and discuss Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's instructions. And thank you in advance for applying these in your respective lives. I will share a template for Nectar of Devotion. So Nectar of Instruction will get finished in next class. And then after that, we will start Nectar of Devotion. So there's a template for you to print, and I will share here in the chat. So it's easier to print on a legal size page, 2 pages. So print these 2 pages before Nectar of Devotion class that you will listen. So on the very first class, you will populate a large portion of the template that I just shared. So you will hear in the discussion that Nectar of Devotion topic itself is heavy. I have simplified, but still the topic is heavy. And for Nectar of Devotion, you will also be listening to Prabhupada lectures. Most of the class will be one. Some classes can be 2 lectures also. And majority of the learning for Nectar of Devotion will happen from Prabhupada lectures. So you will soon hear in the recording that Prabhupada lectures of Nectar of Devotion are out of the world heavy. So you will have to spend more time to listen to those lectures and grasp. One listen may not be enough for Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion lectures. You'll soon hear all of this. I'm just repeating. So today, we will discuss inquiries on Nectar of Instruction, text number 5 to 8. And before that, as I have highlighted earlier, I will highlight again that from this Sunday, devotees at batch 3 and 4 are going to do bigger presentations. So you have it on the screen. And there are topics definitely that are applicable to all of you. For the very first topic, it's on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verses 54 to 72. And then you also have the topic of why do we have to chant? So it's a very good topic. Then you have Bhagavad Gita Chaturshloki verses, of course, Nectar of Devotion, text 2 and 3. And there are more topics coming up which will also be relevant for you all. So try your best to attend this additional class on Sundays, Toronto time 7 a.m., India time 4:30 p.m. and Nepal time 4:45 p.m. Or if you cannot attend virtually, by all means, listen to class recordings. You'll soon see and realize that devotees have done an amazing preparations for all these topics. The benefit is that besides the topic, you also realize that Sunday Feast lectures are generally designed in such a way, means presented in such a way. Those who do good presentations, they have a structured presentation, and this exercise is going to help all. So try your best. So I'll bring up on screen inquiries and I'll answer one at a time. Question number 1. What are the exact qualifications of a true devotee that one should connect with and serve? So we read in Nectar of Instruction that Uttamadhikari and pure devotees are the ones we should serve. So Uttamadhikari is always engaged in devotional service, is always serving his spiritual master. Uttamadhikari is generally himself also a spiritual master, has no anarthas, has no inclination to criticize anyone. The internal devotional characteristics of pure devotees are described in Bhagavad Gita 9.13, and that internal devotion is shown externally by that pure devotee being always engaged in devotional service, which is described in the next verse 9.14. So let's read 9.13 and 14 translation. And 9.14 is a key memorization verse. Whosoever wants to recite can recite. So let's see. Shruti, 9.13, 14 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 13. O son of Pata, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Text 14. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion.
Right, so 13 is internal devotional mindset, and 14 is that devotion is shown external by constantly engaged in devotional service. Anybody wants to recite 9.14? Priyadarshini, go ahead.
9.14 सततं मां नमस्यन्तश्च मां भक्त्या नित्ययुक्त उपासते.
Very good. Nitya Yukta Upasate, that they are constantly engaged in devotional service. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. Question number 2. In the second last paragraph of text 6, Nectar of Instruction, what neophyte God brothers Prabhupada is referring to? So let's read this paragraph, and then we will try to understand. I will bring up on screen. So this is Nectar of Instruction, text number 6, and the second last paragraph. Deepa, you want to read this second last paragraph, which starts those who think
Sorry.
that...
Sorry, Prabhuji, I'm not able. I'm on my phone, so I can't see so much. Sorry.
That's good. Padma Kumar, you want to read second last paragraph?
Those who think that Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain section of people, a certain section of devotees, or a certain tract of land are generally prone to see the external features of the devotee. Such neophytes, unable to appreciate the exalted service of the advanced devotee, try to bring the Maha Bhagavata to their platform. We experience such difficulty in propagating this Krishna consciousness all over the world. Unfortunately, we are surrounded by neophyte God brothers who do not appreciate the extraordinary activities of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. They simply try to bring us to their platform, or they try to criticize us in every respect. We very much regard their naive activities and
Regret. Yeah, we very much regret.
we very much regret their naive activities and poor fund of knowledge. As an empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary human being, for it is stated that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhupada's God brothers did not follow their spiritual master's instructions and they did not preach. So, Srila Prabhupada followed his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's instruction to go to Western countries to preach. Now, these God brothers of Srila Prabhupada who did not follow their spiritual master's instruction, meaning Prabhupada's spiritual master also is the same as their spiritual master. These Prabhupada is referring to as the neophyte God brothers. So in Prabhupada's Lilamrita, there is some more discussion about these God brothers of Prabhupada had unnecessary fighting going on among themselves, not following the instructions. So that's a neophyte. Neophyte means new fight every day. That's what they were doing. So Prabhupada calls them neophytes. Does that answer the inquiry? Question number 3. How to develop the attitude that this life is part of bhakti and bhakti is not a part-time activity. I feel that I get deviated a lot at times. So all of you are progressing well on the right track of spirituality. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, should be chapter 21, Prithu Maharaj instructs citizens on what the citizens should do. Prithu Maharaj is an incarnation of Lord. Prithu Maharaj instructs that all citizens should do pure devotional service. And the citizens respond exactly what question number 3 is. Citizens respond, it is not possible for them to do pure devotional service because the citizens are entangled in fruitative activities. So then Prithu Maharaj says, okay, if you cannot do the highest step, then come next step down, that do karma mishra bhakti, meaning while doing your karma, Do bhakti where bhakti component is more than your karma. And Prithu Maharaj further goes one step down that if karma mishra bhakti is not possible, then at least do bhakti mishra karma where your karma portion is more than bhakti. Meaning, Prithu Maharaj is advising that do some bhakti. And bhakti is so powerful that bhakti will elevate you. So you all continue to do devotional services while doing your karma and gradually increase devotional services. To fast track your devotional and advancement, getting initiated from a bona fide spiritual master is the solution. Soon, upcoming Nectar of Devotion, we'll discuss it. Nectar of Devotion gives 64 items of devotional services to keep our body, mind, and soul engaged 24 hours in devotional service. And the first 5 items and the last 5 items of the 64 items are the most important. The first 5 items of the 64 items of devotional services are related to getting initiated from a spiritual master and serving the spiritual master and following the instructions of a spiritual master. The last 5 items of the 64 items are: number 1, reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Number 2, Gopinath worship. Number 3, devotee association. Number 4, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And number 5, reciting in Holy Dham. So you do not need to physically go to Holy Dham. Rather, you make your home as Krishna's temple, invite devotees for kirtan, serve prasadam to devotees. This way, you are 24 hours in Holy Dham. Now, in terms of getting deviated, will get discussed at the start of this upcoming Nectar of Devotion discussion, the word Chapala Sukha, that we keep fluctuating between wanting and giving up enjoying mentality. So at any initial phases of spirituality, we swing like a pendulum between wanting to enjoy and giving up enjoying mentality, where the oscillation of the pendulum is very fast, as well as the distance of the oscillation is also quite wide. But as we continue to get purified by doing devotional services, studying scriptures, chanting Hare Krishna, then the oscillation will become slow and the distance of the oscillation will also be shorter. So you all are on the right track. Just continue and somehow convince yourself to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, at least as a Siksha Guru, as a starting point. Does that help with the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 4, multi-part question. Nectar of Instruction text number 5 purport says it is mentioned that Kanishta Adhikari is a neophyte who has received the Harinam initiation from spiritual master and is trying to chant the holy name of Krishna. I have not taken initiation from a spiritual master, neither I am a Vaishnava by birth. So can you please tell me, am I considered a devotee of the Lord? And if yes, then under which category of the devotee do I belong? So there is another part to this question also. Let me read the other part of the question also. And the further question says, one who is not a Vaishnava by birth, then what is the eligible criteria for becoming a Vaishnava? So Varna and Ashram divisions are by Guna and Karma and not by birth. Same applies for Vaishnava. Vaishnava is not by birth. One is a Vaishnava by getting initiated from a bona fide spiritual master. So there's progression. We'll soon read the verse from Bhagavatam. That first initiation, you don't become Vaishnava. There's a progression. So the devotee who has asked this question, you are definitely a devotee because you do devotional services, you study Krishna's instructions. To apply these instructions, you chant Hare Krishna. So obviously, you are a devotee. So Bhagavad Gita 9.34 is how you become a devotee. Anybody has memorized 9.34 would like to recite? Man mana bhava mad bhakto.
Prabhuji, can I try?
Yeah, go ahead.
Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame veshyasi yuktavaivam atmanam matparayanaha.
Very good. Very good pronunciation of Sanskrit word. Read the translation also.
Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Hare Krishna.
Right, Krishna says, do these four things. Man, mana, bhava, mad bhakto. Madhyaji, mam namaskaru. And you will become a devotee. So you are obviously a devotee. In Nectar of Instruction, we read the levels of Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari. So you are a devotee, and whether you are Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Uttam Adhikari is for each one of us to judge for ourselves based on the characteristics. So we discussed that these Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttam Adhikari categories are not to judge others. Rather, these are for us to see that we are progressing in the right direction. So Kanishta Adhikari, he worships Gopinath in the temple and he thinks that's it for bhakti. And he chants Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and he does not have value for devotee association. Madhyam Adhikari, he knows Krishna as the object of my worship, makes friends with devotees, showers mercy on innocent, and avoids atheist. Madhyam Adhikaris generally would be initiated devotees. Kanishta Adhikari can also be initiated. And Uttam Adhikari generally are spiritual masters, pure devotees, that they are constantly engaged in devotional services, serving their spiritual master, have no anarthas, have no inclination to criticize anyone. Now, these categories of Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam Adhikari, you judge for yourself. These are for us to judge ourselves whether we are progressing in the right direction. And understand that these Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttam Adhikari levels are not watertight compartments. Initially, one may fall in multiple categories. For example, for my own example, I am a neophyte. But when I am going out on book distribution activity or preaching activities, then this book distribution or preaching activity is what a Madhyamadhikari does. Right, so just for that 15-20 minutes that I have gone for book distribution or preaching or prasadam distribution, so I'm doing an activity of a Madhyamadhikari, but basically I am a neophyte. When I become steady in constantly doing activities of Madhyamadhikari, then I can call myself as Madhyamadhikari. But I am not. I am a neophyte. So everyone has to judge for themselves what levels they are at and whether they are progressing in the right direction. So getting initiation from a bona fide spiritual master is how one becomes a Vaishnava. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.2 describes the steps from neophyte to Dvija to Vipra to Brahmana to Vaishnava. So Ria will read 1.2.2 translation and first two paragraphs I have on the screen.
Hare Krishna. Srila Suta Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage, Sukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyasa, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread or the ceremonies observed by the higher castes, his father Vyasadeva, hearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son, indeed only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to the bereaved father.' Purport: the institution of Varna and Ashrama prescribes many regulated duties to be observed by its followers. Such duties enjoin that a candidate willing to study the Vedas must approach a bona fide spiritual master and request acceptance as his disciple. The sacred thread is a sign of those who are competent to study the Vedas from the Acharya or the bona fide spiritual master. Sri Shukadeva Goswami did not undergo such purificatory ceremonies because he was a liberated soul from his very birth. Generally, a man is born as an ordinary being, and by the purificatory processes, he is born for the second time. When he sees a new light and seeks direction for spiritual progress, he approaches the spiritual master for instruction in the Vedas. The spiritual master accepts only the sincere inquirer as his disciple and gives him the sacred thread. In this way, a man becomes twice born or a Dvija. After qualifying as a Dvija, one may study the Vedas, and after becoming well versed in the Vedas, one becomes a Vipra. A Vipra or a qualified Brahmana thus realizes the Absolute and makes further progress in spiritual life until he reaches the Vaishnava stage. The Vaishnava stage is the postgraduate status of a Brahmana. A progressive Brahmana must necessarily become a Vaishnava, for a Vaishnava is a self-realized, learned Brahmana. Hare Krishna.
Right, the whole steps are given that first you approach a bona fide spiritual master. When the spiritual master thinks you are qualified, then you get twice born, means you get initiation. Then you progress further to becoming a Vipra. Vipra is an entry-level Brahmana, then a Brahmana, and then they progress as a Vaishnava. So Vaishnava is not by birth, it's by initiation. Even a Shudra can become a Vaishnava, but Vaishnava is not by birth. Does that answer the inquiry?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yeah.
So why is it that, Prabhuji, you're calling yourself a Kanishta Adhikari? Is it because you're also working and not full-time? How I want to understand why you're calling Kanishka Adhikari.
So I'm not calling myself Kanishta. I'm calling myself lower than Kanishta, neophyte. So Prabhupada was one time asked this same question that Rupasri just asked. Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, what is your level? level of your as a devotee. So without hesitation, Prabhupada said, I am 5th grade, meaning Prabhupada called himself lower than neophyte. So, so where do I stand? Right. So this Kanishta level is actually, you don't have to undermine the Kanishta level. Kanishta level is also quite advanced. Comparatively, doesn't look like advanced, but I'm a neophyte. I've just entered spirituality and I'm just trying to follow the spiritual path according to the instructions of my spiritual master. Personally, I don't have devotion. So why would I call myself any advanced? Rupashri.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Everybody on the same page? Question number 5. Some portion already got answered. Question number 5 says, are Madhyam Adhikaris free from material attachments? So it will depend. Madhyam Adhikari can also have levels of low, medium, and high. High level Madhyam Adhikari will generally be largely free from material attachments. So sometimes a very elevated Madhyam Adhikari may also end up in the spiritual master category. Very rare, but it's possible. While a low level Madhyam Adhikari is still work in progress. So it will depend. It's not a black and white answer. Does that help with the inquiry? Question number 6. Are all Uttamadhikaris spiritual masters who can initiate? So all initiating spiritual masters are Uttamadhikari, or at least a very high level Madhyamadhikari. But all pure devotees are not spiritual master, even when they may be Uttamadhikaris. Does that help with the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Question number 7. Thank you. Are all initiated devotees at Madhyam level? So I already answered this. So initiation is not the criteria for judging someone at Madhyam Adhikari level. So I am initiated, but I am a neophyte. So Madhyam Adhikari level is based on purification. Of course, those who are initiated from a bona fide spiritual master, their purification process is faster if the devotee follows all rules and regulations properly. But you will notice that initiated devotees, not everyone is up to the mark in terms of following the rules and regulations diligently. So they will be in a lower category. Does that help with the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 8. When does one understand one's actual relationship or rasa with the Lord, the bhava stage? Is it only at the uttam level or even can be at a madhyam level? So we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita 4.13, the Varnashram discussion, that we do not need to worry about our Varna. We do not need to worry about our rasa. We should simply focus on doing more and more services, because service is common in all rasas. So even if you know your rasa, well, you will put a tick mark in a box of your rasa and you will continue doing your services. So it does not matter. Therefore, just continue doing services. When Krishna reveals your rasa from within, okay, you can put a tick mark in a box to identify your rasa. But it does not matter. Now, in terms of the bhava stage, whether one experiences only at Uttam Adhikari level or Madhyam Adhikari level, so this is a heavy discussion coming up in Nectar of Devotion, chapters 17 and 18, which are on Bhava Bhakti, that somebody is a neophyte who has come to the temple for the first time or the second time and he's showing signs of Bhava Bhakti. How is that possible? So you'll soon discuss in Nectar of Devotion, chapter 17 and 18, that Bhava Bhakti has special characteristics, and these characteristics no one can imitate and no one can hide. So how is a neophyte who has come to the temple for just first or second time, how is he showing symptoms of Bhava Bhakti? And you'll be surprised that actually a couple of devotees from our Bhakti classes, they have actually experienced Bhava Bhakti. So you'll all hear this discussion in upcoming Nectar of Devotion, that how can a neophyte experience Bhava Bhakti? What it happens is that when you are at a temple at some event and there is a pure devotee around you, the pure devotee's devotion from his heart gets reflected on the neophyte's heart, and the neophyte starts showing the Bhava Bhakti symptoms, because the symptoms, characteristics of Bhava Bhakti symptoms are you cannot imitate, you cannot hide. Therefore, the neophyte has no option but to show those symptoms. How it is possible, and you will soon discuss in Nectar of Devotion. I only briefly describe that this is pratibimba, means it's a reflection of the pure devotee. Pure devotee is bhava being reflected on the heart of a neophyte. Does that help with the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 9. How can we avoid judging pure devotee by their body or background while still following Varnashram Dharma, which assigns duties based on those things? How do we balance seeing everyone spiritually equal with still doing our practical roles in the society? So a few minutes back, we read Nectar of Instruction text number 6, the second last paragraph. I have it on the screen again. Prabhupada says, those who think Krishna consciousness is limited to certain area or certain section of devotees, they will see external features of the devotee and not their internal devotion. And Prabhupada says, further in the same paragraph, that an empowered devotee engaged in service of the Lord is not ordinary. He is empowered by Krishna. So why would you treat him as ordinary human being? So spiritual master's body is spiritual and not material. Varnashram division, that is material. Therefore, spiritual master is not part of Varnashram system. So in terms of seeing spiritual, understand that spiritual master is above Varnashram, is above everyone. So if you want to see spiritual, we have discussed the steps that right now I have the material vision that I see myself as my body and I see everyone else as their respective bodies. So this is the lowest material vision. Then we start seeing spiritual within material, means we start seeing soul within the body. Then comes the next step is we'll be able to then see spiritual within spiritual. So at least as a starting point, based on scriptural knowledge, so far what you have studied, see everyone with Bhagavad Gita 15.7 Shastra Chakshu. Now, it may be possible to see friends and families as a soul. But next time somebody hurts you, try to remember and recite Bhagavad Gita 15.7 that all souls are parts and parcels of Krishna. Meaning, the one who is hurting you is actually your sibling. So, why can you not see that person as spiritually equal? At least in theory. Yeah, you can say to Krishna, yeah, I have read 15.7, which says, Mama eva amsha jiva loke, that everyone is your part and parcel, but I am not there yet. At least you can remember 15.7. Who wants to recite and read 15.7 translation? Somebody?
I can do it.
Go ahead. What should
Mama vamso jivaloke jivabhutah sanatana manasasta nitrayani prakritistani karsati.
Very good.
The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to the conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with 6 senses, which include the mind.
Right? So Krishna says, Mama eva amsha jiva loke. So next time somebody hurts you, remember just the first line. Krishna says, all conditioned living beings are my eternal fragmental parts. So you can see and then you can tell Krishna, Krishna, I understand you have said this in 15.7, but I cannot see the soul yet. So I'm just trying to remember the verse. Does that help in terms of question 9, wanting to see everybody spiritually equal?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you.
Everybody on the same page, although one devotee has asked this question, should apply to all. Deepa, we cannot hear you. You may have to read. Your voice is breaking. We cannot hear you. You can reconnect. Question number 10. Do neophytes fail to do good karma in this life due to past lives' bad karma? can their previous karma affect bhakti practices in their current life, even after they're trying very hard? The devotee who has asked this question is yet to listen to the karma discussion of Bhagavad Gita, where we have discussed that good karma and bad karma do not offset each other. We are all given a set of good and bad karma to enjoy or suffer in this life. And we will soon cover in Nectar of Devotion that bhakti is purely independent. Bhakti is not dependent on past karma. Bhakti is not dependent on anything material. Bhakti comes from bhakti. Does that help with the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 11. The famous English musician who mentioned Krishna's holy names in this music, what we were listening today morning also, most probably refers to George Harrison of the Beatles. Can you please shed some light on his personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada, association with ISKCON, and contributions to the Hare Krishna movement? So you are correct that the Kirtan we were listening today before, and what the question refers to is the George Harrison amazing Govindam Kirtan, the George Harrison of Beatles. So he created this beautiful Govindam Kirtan and gave it to Srila Prabhupada, which is played at every single ISKCON temples all over the world every morning when Gopinath doors open. So this George Harrison's further activities with Srila Prabhupada, they are described in Prabhupada's Lilamrita. So I'm only briefly mentioning a couple of points. So one is obviously the Kirtan. And next is when Prabhupada wrote Krishna book as the summary of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10. Prabhupada did not have money to print. So Prabhupada recommended, why don't you ask George Harrison? Now, George Harrison had already done so many things, and devotees were hesitant to ask for more from him. Still, devotees went and asked him, and he gave the whole money required for printing the Krishna book. So you will see in the Krishna book in the introduction, there is a brief note from George Harrison as well. And George Harrison was from London, England. So the ISKCON temple in London, England, the very big piece of land, it's a very big piece of some 80 or 100 acres worth of land, that was donated by him to ISKCON. If you want to read, you can read Prabhupada's Lilamrita. There would be more discussions on that. Does that help with the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Question number 12. Multi-part question. As written in text number 5, the main goal of a devotee is to strive to attain pedestal of Uttamadhikari. When one reaches that Uttamadhikari level, he loses interest in material pursuits and only engages in service and spread Krishna consciousness. So is it possible for a rich businessman to continue working in his day-to-day business in material world and still reach the level of Uttamadhikari? Or does he need to forego all material inclinations? So one of my favorite lecture of Srila Prabhupada from Srimad Bhagavatam is titled How to Find a Grahastha Sannyasi. If anybody is interested to listen to this lecture of Srila Prabhupada can send me an offline message and I'll forward it to you. Now, Grahastha and Sannyasi are opposite ashrams. So how can Grahastha be a Sannyasi? So if a Grahastha lives like a Grahastha and does not live like a Grahamedi, meaning the Grahastha works only to keep the body and soul together and spends rest of the time on Krishna consciousness, then such a Grahastha is a sannyasi because he's not attached to his wife. Yeah, he talks nicely and affectionately with his wife, but he's not attached to wife, children, house, etc. This is Grahastha because he's not interested in enjoying anything in the material world. The Grahamedi, on the other hand, is one who lives in the material world for self-enjoyment and for the sake of family. So Srila Prabhupada called his initial disciples, some of them, not all of them, some of them, called his initial disciples greater than sannyasi because these initial disciples, they used to work in the material world and they would give all their earnings to Srila Prabhupada every frequency, whatever was the frequency, if they get their salary twice a week or once a month, whatever frequency, they will give their whole earnings to Prabhupada for Krishna consciousness. And they themselves also used to be engaged in devotional service for rest of the time during the day, before and after their work hours. So it is possible, will be rare, but it is possible. I'll give you one example from the Toronto temple that there is a CEO of a company. And if you come to the Sunday feast, now the CEO has a massive house. You can park like 10, 20 cars in his driveway, some massive bungalow, has hundreds of staff reporting to him. On the Sunday feast, the service he does is collects the plates after devotees have honored their prasad and they are there to dispose of the plates. That's the service he does. And he takes care of the garbage. So you just have to be humble. I mean, he's a CEO. If you look at other CEOs in the material world, they have their ego right at the tip of their nose. But those who are in Krishna consciousness, they develop humility. And the criteria is not being attached to whatever you have in the material world. You use it in Krishna's service. And the second part of the question says, the modern technology-driven world is fast-paced and requires the constant engagement and attention of people. If majority of people eventually attain the level of Uttamadhikari and lose the taste of material life, how will the modern world function? So modern world is not simple living and high thinking. So Nectar of Instruction text number 2, purport, very first line says, simple living and high thinking. Modern world is not like this. Rather, modern world is simply living and hardly thinking. So the modern rush world and spirituality is like oil and water. You cannot mix these. And if majority of people become Uttamadhikari, then Krishna's mission will be fulfilled to get all souls back to Godhead. Therefore, there will be no need for this manifested material world. So, although you have asked this question, all of you can strive and pray that everyone becomes an Uttamadhikari, then this miserable material world will not be required at all. Does that answer the inquiry? Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Question number 13. What danger does Srila Prabhupada warn neophyte Kanishta devotees against regarding Raganuga Bhakti? Define in detail about Raga Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. So Nectar of Devotion has detailed discussion on Raganuga and Ragatmika Bhakti in chapters 15 and 16. That's a pretty heavy discussion. Even if I describe right now, you don't have the base. So I will not describe right now. So I request that you ask this question after Nectar of Devotion, chapter 15, 16 discussion is done. And if it does not get clarified, then you can ask your question, but it should get clarified when we discuss Ragatmika and Raganuga Bhakti in Nectar of Devotion, chapter 15 and 16. Last question for today. Nectar of Instruction text number 8 says 24 hours chant and remember Lord Krishna. How to understand, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. The word kramena comes in the Sanskrit of text number 8. So the text number 8, second line has this word, kramena rasena manasa niyojya. That progressively one engages tongue and mind and becomes absorbed. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport elaborates the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's purport on this, that there are 4 stages for this kramena, for this progressive engaging tongue and mind and being absorbed. The first is the stage when we are hearing the philosophy. By hearing the philosophy, we gradually move forward on the path of spirituality. And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that in a neophyte stage, one should engage hearing Krishna Katha. And this hearing is the most important for we all sadhakas. And this is what Srila Prabhupada has given to all of us, that there are Srimad Bhagavatam classes, outreach programs. And so we should all take opportunity for hearing as much as is possible. Then the next step is that by constant hearing, one internalizes. So what's the difference in the first and the second step? So first step, the hearing Shravanam, is theoretical hearing. Yeah, you are just trying to understand or hear what's going on. And the second step is that you have internalized and you are starting to understand, starting to practice. Then the third step is that your remembrance gradually becomes uninterrupted. And then the fourth step is that your remembrance further becomes concentrated as meditation. And you clearly understand you are eternal servant of Krishna. Krishna is eternal master. And the relationship we have is that I have to eternally serve eternal master Krishna. So this is perfection of life. So these are the progressive stages which begin with Shravanam. Does that help with the inquiry? All right. Thank you. So as I said at the start that Nectar of Instruction will get finished in subsequent class. You probably will have very few questions. Next class also will be shorter class. So I posted Nectar of Devotion template at the start of the class, and I'm posting it again. Some of you joined partway through. So I posted the Nectar of Devotion template again. It's a 2-page. I request all of you to please print before you start listening to Nectar of Devotion. Of course, there's one more leftover class for Nectar of Instruction. So today I will send you the last class number 10 on Nectar of Instruction. And the other thing I mentioned at the start is that from this Sunday, 24th May, devotees at batch 3 and 4, which is Sundays, Toronto time 7 a.m., India time 4:30 p.m. and Nepal time 4:45 p.m., devotees are going to do these bigger presentations. And many of the topics are very important. The very first topic, you'll be amazed with the devotees' presentation. So on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verses 54 to 72, we have discussed that this is the most practical set of verses for our day-to-day life. There's another topic, chant anyways. Another topic on Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Shloki. Then you have Nectar of Instruction, text number 2 and 3. And there are other topics coming up very soon, which will also be relevant for all of you. So try your best to attend this extra class. You will realize the benefit of it. And it won't be the whole 2 hours. It generally, the presentation is supposed to be 45 minutes. And depending on inquiries, it may go to about 60 minutes. Or if you cannot attend virtually, then at least try your best to listen to the recording. And the benefit will be, you will realize the Sunday feast classes, they are actually supposed to be structured in this way, the way the devotees are going to present. So devotees have spent, each devotee has spent more than 2 months to prepare for this presentation. So they have spent a lot of time. And you will realize the benefit. And once you attend this, you can then correlate. And your benefit will be on the Sunday feast classes or any classes for those who do the classes properly. Most of the devotees who give classes, they do it well structured. And for those who do it like this, you will realize the benefit. Everybody can try this, please.
Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
All right. I don't have anything more to discuss. I will post the next recording and the link for you to populate Google form for your spiritual endeavor. And we will connect next week. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.